Hello, in today's video, I'm going to use string dipped in black paint to create a compositional structure to which I'll add some collage material. Then I'll mix two colors of paint. I'll show you paint mixing and then layering paint in an attempt to integrate that collage material within the painted surface. Let's get started. So first I'm going to use I'll need a liquid black paint. I'm going to use this Craft Smart black liquid paint. I need a cotton cord. What I mean is like kitchen, cooking twine. I've soaked this in water because it's going to absorb the black paint better if it's already wet. I like to hold it down with a brush and pull the string through. This might take a couple of passes till it gets really saturated. And then I'm going to basically print that string on the surface. Still needs more paint. And if I pull it a little bit, if I pull it a little bit more taut, I should get a sharper line. I can do curves. Just by placing it at one end and then letting it be slack, I can do curves. Okay, so I can do this really any paint, any structure that I want. Okay, then I will set that aside to dry. I've already got one waiting in the wings here. So here's one that I did ahead of time that is dry. I am now going to apply some collage paper, just these magazine pages, with some heavy matte gel. You could also use Mod Podge. And I'm going to tear them and place them in some of these areas here. I like ripping them by hand. You can cut them with scissors if you want. You can use whatever you want. It could have magazine imagery on there. I'm just keeping this simple for right now. Okay, I'm going to glue these down. I like using the angled palette knife because I can glob it on and then I can scrape it back so it's a really thin layer. If I go on top of the magazine, the written page, it's going to act as a barrier. So if I want to put paint on there and scrape back, I'll see the text pretty clearly. Okay, so that's adhering the collage material. I did leave the string painting out in the sun to dry. You could also hit it with a blow dryer. Otherwise, some of that paint is going to moosh around. Okay, now I'm going to set that aside for a moment. And I'm going to mix the colors that I'm going to paint on top of this. And I've chosen a phthalo turquoise and an unbleached titanium. I'm going to put out more of the unbleached. Well, actually, I'll put out equal amounts, but usually the darker paint, we need less of that. And I'm going to mix a gradient. I think I'm just going to mix 3 colors. So first I'm going to take some of this unbleached titanium, bring it down here. I want to reserve some of that original color. Same with the phthalo turquoise, but I'm going to mix in here just a little bit, goes a long way, and create my first gradation. And each time I mix, I try to pick colors that I haven't mixed before just to see what I get. Okay, so there's my first gradation, my first mixture. Now I'm going to go on to my second. I'll bring it up quite a bit more, maybe. So I scoop and flip and kind of smush that paint around with the angled palette knife. I think this is the best one for mixing. Okay, here's my next gradation. Now I go to my last. Okay, there are my mixtures. Now I'm going to bring my painting back with the collage material, and I'm going to fill this in. One, I'm going to see how all these different colors interact together. And I'm also going to attempt to integrate the collage material. And of course, I forgot my brushes except for one. So I'm just going to have to work with this one. Okay, so I'm going to liquefy this original color by adding water, make a wash. And just kind of spontaneously fill in some of these areas. So now I painted over this, but if I wiped some of it away, that gel medium where it adhered acts as a barrier, and I can see my text. Okay, so there's a wash. Now let's see, I'll go a little bit thicker with my next color. So even though I've forgot my brushes, there's a lot I can do with this one. I've got the broad surface I just used. I can use the side of my brush. So here, really no water. Using the side of my brush, I'm using that low 45-degree angle, thicker globs of paint, impasto, going over the edge of some of that magazine material to embed it further into the surface. And I'm going to go to this one. Then I can take my angled palette knife and I can use the tip to scratch through. I can use the flat edge of it to carve through and excavate that layer below. I can paint with my palette knife. Just blending directly right there on the surface. And so then what I get with this quick study is I see how all of these colors are interacting together. I use the string as my compositional structure. I like to call it compositional rebar. I see how all of these colors plus the collage material are working together, and then based on these limitations, I could then bring in other colors like pops of orange or red, or maybe another blue. And I can play with all the different consistencies of paint from thin to thick. And that is it for mixed media integrated string painting.